Lee, if you don't mind, we'll get started. That's okay. All right, good afternoon, everyone. The time is now 2:31. Today is June 28th, 2023. This is the BAC Advisory Committee Education Subcommittee. Get started. Our mission and vision. Sorry, can we get someone to close the door? Thank you so much. The BAC mission is to advise and make recommendations to the commission and the director on issues related to bicycling in the city, including but not limited to amendments to the bike plan, bicycle safety and education, implementation of the bike plan, development of strategies for funding projects related to bicycling, and promoting public participation in bicycling. The BAC vision is by 2027, the city of Houston would be a safer, more accessible, goal-level friendly city. So at this time, I'll do a BAC Education Subcommittee roll call. Please come off mute and say here when name is called. Chair Tom Thompson. Leah Chambers, co-chair.
Here.
Leah. Jessica Wiggins, co-chair. Commander Christine Anthony Miller. Joe Catrufo. Lisa Griff. Ben Drews. Robin Holzer. And our ex-officio members, David Fields.
Present.
Juvenile Robles. Anyone I may have missed on the call, on the roll call?
Hey, this is Amar.
Thank you, Amar.
Nikki Knight just joined.
Thank you, Nikki. All right, forward. So Microsoft Teams meeting instructions, our agenda slides can be found on our website at houstonbikeplanning.org/BAC. You can also join by phone by dialing 936-755-1521 using ID 594-297-824#. When joining Microsoft Teams, please remember to stay on mute unless identified by the chair to speak. If you're connecting via the phone, you can press *6 by muting and unmuting. Before you is our agenda. Okay. And we'll start with our director's report.
Thanks, Brendan. Good afternoon, everybody. One thing before I start my report, so we don't have quorum for this committee today. I don't think we're going to be voting on anything financial, so I think we'll be okay. We're going to call everything discussion items, just to stay on the safe side of Robert's rules and provide updates to any BAC members who call us later about it. So my report, I wanted to focus on the work Brandon and I have been doing with the trucking agencies across the city on the education task that you all gave us. We had reached out to Silver Eagle. We'd started some conversations with them. That hasn't gone as far as we would have hoped. We presented last week to the Texas Trucking Association and had a great response. Some individual owner-operators, companies with their own fleets are very interested in seeing what we have already developed, and we'll talk about rolling that into their training for their drivers. So that's an ongoing conversation. And then we just got connected with specifically Centerpoint, which was on the list of companies that you all had tasked us with. And we have time set up, I think it must be July at this point, to go over that with them. So we're starting to make some progress. We've got the list. We're going to keep going down it, and we'll keep updating you on where we're going. Any questions?
Seeing none, we'll move forward. You see you. Leah said that's great. Thank you for all your work, David and team.
And it looks like Drew has joined us.
And we have Ben Drews here. Present. Now we'll move forward with the co-chair's report. Leah, saw you on. Jessica's there, but you got the floor.
Hi, thanks everybody. Jessica and I don't have a full report today. We're just continuing to move forward on some of the items that we discussed before. I know Commander Christine Anthony Miller gave us some notes about some things that she wants to talk about soon. So we're going to just be collaborating on when that fits best in the meeting. So thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, at this time, we are at the public comment part of the agenda. You can send in written comments to the BAC at bac@HoustonTXGOV by 12 p.m. the day of the BAC meetings. Comments will be read aloud by staff during the meeting, or you can comment by phone by dialing in 936-755-1521 using ID 594-297-824# and press *6 to mute and unmute. You can also comment via Microsoft Teams. You can leave your name in the chat and what you would like to comment. I didn't receive any written comment before 12 today. I believe we have Kevin who would like to speak today. Yes. And if there's anyone in the chat, please put your name. Well, we got Simon. Okay. So we'll start here and then we'll move on.
Can I go after Simon?
Okay. Well, Simon, you have the floor.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly.
I actually did email a public comment at about 10:30 this morning to the address on this slide, but maybe afterwards you can share. There's some images there you won't be able to see, but I'll make the comment without it anyway. First, I just want to say thanks. Metro Houston restored, expanded, and improved frequency in a bunch of bus routes on June 4th. I live in Montrose and I regularly commute to a bunch of offices in the Energy Corridor. I'm now able to do this again. And I want to add additional thanks to Metro for making it really easy to take a bike on buses, including the park and ride buses. You're missing a great photo of that. As well, with the thanks, now that I'm bike commuting more, Tours 27 and District C for establishing and improving a lot of pedestrian and bike infrastructure. Foremost, the Waugh Drive bike lane and the Hawthorne-Holman bike lane connection really improved the safety of my day-to-day commute. So I'm super appreciative of that. Related to this, I've been biking a lot more lately, bike commuting or replacing my driving miles with bike miles. One thing that really came to my concern lately, on June 19th, a section of the Waugh Drive bike lane became permanently closed indefinitely for the 1010 Waugh apartment project. It's not really clear to me that this bike lane needs to be closed for this construction. There's another apartment complex 1 block up where they managed to keep the sidewalk and all the street lanes open for their construction. It seems to be a similar type of project. So currently there's barriers that have been installed that are obstructing safe passage of pedestrians as well on opposite street corners. You'll see photos of this in the comment I sent to you earlier today. Those barriers really make no sense. They're obstructing people's access to a grocery store or normal sidewalk usage. I contacted the city. There's nothing you can do. It's within the permits that are odd that they would close infrastructure across the street from their construction for no need. I was hoping somebody from this committee could work with City of Houston and with Fairfield Residential, who are the developers of 1010 Waugh, to look at this situation. I think it'd be great public relations for both the city and the developers, Fairfield Residential, to resolve this. They obviously know the value of the bike lane that's there and the pedestrian facilities, because it's in all their mock-ups are full of cyclists and pedestrians for this project, which I think is a great project. By the way, we need more apartments and density in this area, and it's a great location across from a grocery store and near Buffalo Bayou Park. Second to this, if you go just down the street a block near the corner of West Dallas and West Clay, there's a picture of this again in the comment. All the protective bike lane curbs have recently been removed from this block. So we now have an unprotected stretch of bike lane in the Waugh Drive bike lane. It's not really clear to me why this was done. I contacted Houston Public Works through a 311 ticket, and they basically, all they did was say, no hazard found, no action needed. Request number is 2300910205. It's really disappointing to me that this is being done. Waugh Drive bike lane was a real gift to pedestrians and cyclists, really improving connectivity for multimodal transit in Montrose. So it's really disappointing to see this infrastructure get eroded so easily in the city to really say nothing about why it was done or why those things are gone. The final issue I want to highlight here, I'm over 2 minutes, so thanks for the extra time, is the Holman Street closure. So currently there's the 72-inch water main project going on in Montrose and Midtown. Holman Street between Smith and Louisiana has been closed. This is actually a vital safe connector between Montrose and Midtown, connecting the Hawthorne Safe Street with the Holman, I guess effectively a safe street. It's a key neighborhood connector, and without it, pedestrians and cyclists either have to go to Westheimer or West Alabama, several blocks away, to make this connection. So it's disappointing that this project essentially closed down the street to and sidewalks to pedestrians and cyclists, since it's such a vital connector. And it does look like there's space to keep something open or do something there to keep this open. Holman, Louisiana has traffic lights to enable safe crossing. You have to go several blocks, like I said, to West Alabama or Westheimer to get that protection. And that protection is vital. You're at Spur 527 exit there, where regularly motorists are doing, 10 or 20 miles per hour over the limit coming to that intersection. It's a significant public safety issue. I wonder if this is an education opportunity or collaboration opportunity with the permitting center to improve planning for sidewalk and bike lane closures. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great, and I'm not going to give detailed responses. The first thought is we do need to respect that this is the education subcommittee. Most of those items aren't, but I'll tell you what I know about it. I know Office of City Engineer and Public Works are looking at the Wall Street permit. I wasn't aware of the other Wall Street issue. What block was it that you said it was removed?
It's just south of the closure, so it's the rest of the block where the lane isn't closed. They've removed all the barriers. And I'll say I do believe it's an education issue because the permit office doesn't seem to care about pedestrian or cyclist safety. So I think there is an education opportunity there. Thanks.
The middle item, the other item was Holman Street, and we're going to reach out to, that's a Houston Water project, and we're going to figure out what's going on there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Newell.
Can you hear me okay from down here? There's a lot of inputs here, so I feel a lot of pressure to set a good example. I know it's the education committee, but I do want to follow on with what Simon was saying, and hopefully we can come back to the infrastructure committee and reiterate this. The two examples he gave, those aren't one-off examples. The city regularly permits, that's with permitting process, where sidewalks and or bike lanes are taken over during the construction period. We know that the IDM is going to be revised for better routes, but we shouldn't be in a position where our people infrastructure is just wholesale given away to for construction. That wall bike lane was a long time in coming, and so with it being completely taken over, it's creating a really dangerous situation. There's a lot. This happens regularly in the city. I biked to the East End a couple of weeks ago to learn more about the roundabout. Ended up being on Runnels, which was a huge mistake because the sidewalk had been blocked off. And I was in the lane with the cars, which is not where I like to be. A couple of weeks ago, also walked down Westheimer, where an entire block has got construction. And again, the construction fencing went almost up to the street, and people were literally walking or biking in the street. If you've been on Westheimer, especially over there, it's not a place where you want to walk in the street. So our ask is, yes, we do want WA to be addressed, but there's a larger issue where the permits are issued sort of de facto automatically, and we need to change how that. So I don't know if it's a disconnect between planning and or permitting, probably setting up permitting, but we really want to revisit that process so that it doesn't happen. We've asked Councilmember Kamen to take a look because that's in her district, but we think it should be a larger issue.
Right, and from how you started your comment, that's what the IDM update's going to do for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
When I biked here, so people can bike in the summer, and I use the bus lane. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, seeing no more, we'll move forward. All right, we're going to have a discussion about data requests to staff. David Fields.
Thanks. So hi, everybody. The backstory of this is we got a request from the chairs. Could we put together what really ended up being more of an advocacy piece going into this year's elections? Staff, we will provide data to anybody who asks. We have the BAC website, which has it available, but we respond to things all the time. What we came up with was a more tailored approach that if this committee can help us identify what are the data needs that we need to prepare. We can do that either by district or by super neighborhood. We can decide which is the right level, but it's a little hard for staff to just say, well, everybody needs everything that we've ever counted. It becomes kind of flowing into nowhere, and there is a pretty big time constraint when we're talking about a city this big. So we wanted to use this time to do a brainstorming about if put yourself in the shoes of, I don't know, either your council members or just your neighbors, what kind of reliable template of data requests do you think we should have available? And we can commit to doing this on a regular basis, probably annually makes the most sense. So I just want to open it up to the committee, whether you're on education or just BAC overall. We'll open it up to any BAC members to give us some ideas. I'll throw out a couple of things I'm assuming people are saying. What is built or in planning today by district? I'm seeing nods from Jessica. I'm sorry, Leah. Like having children.
David, this is Leah. Is there, when you talk about built, is that built like total throughout the city at this particular time, or were you imagining something different?
So we keep track always of what's built to date citywide, and this would help us do kind of that equivalent by whichever geography. I'm going to keep using city council district as my de facto until somebody tells me they want a different level.
Okay.
Even that, everybody should remember, is 11 different districts. So it's not just dividing the total by 11, it's unique to each one.
Right.
And we would do that for what's in design, planning / design / construction, or built.
Mm-hmm. Can we also get data on injuries and deaths to date?
Yeah, we can do that. And in fact, I'll give you a sneak heads up, although I can't give you the link yet. Through our Vision Zero program, in the next few weeks, we're going to be releasing a quarter-by-quarter dashboard of what is going on, and you'll actually be able to see by district and a lot of the crash factors. So that should be pretty easy to overlay in here because that'll be available to us.
Awesome. Thank you.
That is what coordinated planning does for us. Other folks? Otherwise, Leah just gets to name things she wants.
The floor is mine.
What we'll do is we don't have to have this answered today. We thought the education subcommittee was the right group to bring this to. What we can do is in the notes, in the follow-up email, we'll put this out as a request to everybody. We'll say 3 weeks for a response. And then
I'll drop a comment.
Excuse me?
This is Alejandro.
Oh, hey.
Hey, everybody. So I think that I know pictures and graphs help a lot. If we can, if people want to do the district thing, like use the current map and just highlight the different zones of the districts, and that way, because when we do our quarterly meetups, we do have our review in infrastructure and updates on progress, of the projects that are happening around. And most of that stuff is like pulled in from like other churches and stuff like that are in the area. So maybe just I think just overlaying the district area, like what map, what boundaries the district is in, and then I don't know, maybe percentage wise of where the projects are going towards. I'm thinking. So that's my idea of like kind of like tying in graphs and pictures to illustrate the projects that have been happening in the areas, irrespective of the districts.
Sure, and just to clarify for me, when you say the percentage, are you saying the percentage of a project built or the percentage of the bike plan built?
Yeah. So percentage, well, I mean like of like current projects in progress, right? I guess we can use, because in design and progress, like there's different levels. I think the most relevant one probably would be maybe both combined, because both of them are working towards being completed, right? So that gives you a more accurate representation of projects that are happening in the area, right, or are in the pipeline.
So percentage of the bike plan built, that's no problem. Percentage of the projects in the district that are in the bike plan built. Sounds like math we should be able to do. Let us give that some thought to make sure that's still a number that people can do something with. But yeah, we can definitely take a look at that. And then I see Leah put in the chat, advocacy efforts that might be beneficial to get dollars spent on bikeways, sidewalks versus auto roadway to date for the year. We have thought about this, and I'll just tell you where we ended up, and maybe somebody can give us another idea. Almost every project we do these days is not one mode or the other. We rarely do a roadway only project that isn't a pedestrian project. Every bike project usually also has ped stuff and is equally a vehicle safety project, a roadway safety project. So we have a real hard time allocating those dollars when it's doing all these things. I've looked at other cities that are having the same problem because they're going to this multimodal approach. If somebody can point me to a way that, like, you can look at 11th Street and say, we have curb bulb outs and transit improvements, and it's slowing traffic. Is that a traffic one? Is that a bike one? We end up cutting the numbers so fine that it ended up not being something that we felt good that we could do the math from the bottom up again. And so we're a little bit stuck on it, but if somebody can point me to a methodology, we're happy to take a look at it.
That makes total sense. Thanks, David.
Any other comments or thoughts? Okay, if not, so in the notes that come out, maybe we'll start with the few thoughts that we heard to give people, so people who aren't here know what was talked about, and then we'll give a 3-week deadline. We'll start thinking about what this will look like, and we'll come back at the next education subcommittee with an outline of what that will look like. And it did remind me, one other thing I wanted to tell you all, we are working on the biennial report, which is citywide, so not broken down by district, certain classes of data that we'll be providing to you. It has things like not just about projects, but about accessibility by bikes for different land uses, populations, safety data, and we're on track to have that done by the end of the year.
Good news. Thank you.
All right. At this time, Jessica wanted to talk about Bike to Work expansion, expanding that program. Leah, she didn't share anything with me in further detail. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Unfortunately, I don't. I think we'll have to push that one until next meeting.
No problem at all.
Actually, could I just ask? I don't know if I'm not as familiar with the rules. Can I open it up to the committee to see if anyone had any stories from the day?
Yeah.
That they want to share? Okay. Any events? I was out of town for it, unfortunately.
So Bike to Work, is this like experience on the day of Bike to Work, or people like generally biking to work?
I'd love to know day of Bike to Work and if there's any impact tied to that.
So I gave it a shot. So I rode from Midtown all the way up to like 45 in Gulf Bank. So my route was from WAF to hopping over to Yale, and Yale all the way up to Parker, and Parker up to North Line to Canino Road, and then Sweetwater. So I work at UPS. So I commuted like at 4 o'clock in the morning. Took me an hour to get over there. 10 miles about. Overall was great. I mean, at that hour, traffic is pretty calm. I did run into a dog that jumped over a fence to say hi to me. But I knew that it was smart enough not to jump into the street. Like it was running along the sidewalk. It was along around Yale and Tidwell or something like that. And the experience was like overall, like the weather wasn't too hot. 4 o'clock in the morning again, but I was able to make it to a gas station where I was able to get a breakfast taco before I went to work. So it was real great. I really enjoyed it. My bike, I just recently got a bike where I can carry more stuff. So I carried my work bag and my boot to work, and I really enjoyed it. Other than the sweat and the workout, I mean, it was fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Alejandro.
Can I
Anybody
say
else?
something about the?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I think I'm going next with the presentation, but I want to say something about bike to work day.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Please. Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I noticed that there was a I guess I'll call it a Mercedes versus bike event at Bike to Work today, and then there was one a couple of weeks ago where there was an issue with some cyclists and another Mercedes. That's something I want to bring up in my presentation as well. As also, I'm trying to bring up solutions for it. I'm not sure if anybody's aware of those two events involving the Mercedes and bicycles.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. So
I
there
was in
was
one
a
of the
question and
events.
everything.
I got hit by that Mercedes.
Okay.
So yeah, I do
Yeah, I'm
remember. It
sorry.
was like around Lamar on the Lamar bike lane. So it was the actual bike to work event. That started in East End and like headed into like City Hall and then hopped on Lamar. And apparently like there was some video footage. And then a couple riders that were that recorded in like ex-police presence that was riding with the group, right, for the event, the escorts basically, and I can't remember what they said, but they said they couldn't do anything, they couldn't do much, even despite the footage or whatnot. But yeah, it was some passive aggressive behavior, and the driver of that Mercedes truck was like trying to squeeze himself into a parking garage that was being used or where cyclists were riding on the Lamar bike lane, and preventing him from like getting across into the garage. So I don't know what happened. There was a police report or anything filed. But I do hear that people online were able to identify who this guy was. But it was a big deal, like so like on social media. It was pretty aggressive behavior in my eyes, and I don't know what we can do to kind of educate. I mean, the idea of Bike to Work is to try and promote this and make sure that it's possible. But when you run into situations like these, I think we need our supporting entities, making sure there's a follow through with like this discipline or education or whatever that needs to happen to kind of to like whatever needs to happen to kind of like ensure that cycling here in Houston is something that the city is taking seriously.
Thank you, Alejandro. I appreciate that.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Leah. All right, moving forward in our agenda. Next, we have using infotainment supposed to be gamification for increase of knowledge for the Houston Bike Plan. by M.T. Gardner. You heard his voice already, so we'll get started with his presentation. Mr. Gardner, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm going to talk to you about increasing public knowledge of the Houston Bike Plan by using infotainment and gamification, along with proven offline and online marketing tactics. I think they might be able to cut down on some of that Mercedes action in the city. Next slide, please. In general, it boils down to using social media. I took a look at the existing Houston Bike Plan social media, and what I noticed was I see a room for improvement. So that's a good thing. I compared it to some other bike niche social media, and for instance, on YouTube, I think I was able to find a Houston Bike Plan video. I suggest one. The existing video, I think, had about 2,000 views, and I saw another video about Houston with 5 million views. So I look at that as an opportunity to get that many viewers and educate them on the Houston Bike Plan in whatever way that you decide is best. It would be a certain talk to target down that niche to see exactly what about the bike plan we would like to teach it. Is it safety or just the overall progress? So yeah, engaging social media posts and finding the right influencers in the city, music artists, some of them are already into cycling that I know about. And I also want to show, I'm looking at number 3 right here, will show people how they can be more productive in Houston. That's almost a gamification type of aspect to it, to where once they learn that they can earn money and even be car replacement, save money as well as earn money, I think people will be more interested in the other aspects of the bike plan. Infotainment, I describe that as just a way to give people information in an entertaining way, so that it's not so TMI or boring to them. Next slide, please. And I looked at the video, and it was a very informative video. I could see how it could be, the same video, just with some certain tweaking on it, could be used so that it could get closer to the 5 million views on YouTube. The best video in it, that would be a whole nother talk about some of the best practices in making a video that people would engage in. And in that video, it would be a certain length, a certain amount of interactivity. All of that can be discussed later if you decide that it would be best to move forward. Next slide, please. And this is also the infotaining part, where we would, along with the video, just have a creative way to introduce people to things like I did a quick survey, and I saw that the average person I know, they didn't know how much space to give cyclists on the road. They didn't know it was a minimum. Somebody in this call right now could not know that. So something as simple as that, I saw was I think 3 feet minimum is what the ordinance says. And even thinking about that, like, I'm a cyclist myself. I'm not sure what it would take to get that expanded. I feel like with 3 feet, if they think it's only 3 feet, then they might try to kind of cheat and give them 2.5 feet. So I'm not sure what it takes to enforce that. And also, in this whole presentation I'm giving, I feel like there are always solutions that might not have been thought of. They could be quite simple and even easy to implement. But yeah, with a song and a video, and it would be best to have a call to action in either one of them, so that people would be introduced to the bike plan, and also something that they could do after they are introduced to it, something they could learn or go out and apply on the road. Next slide, please. And part of the infotainment and gamification would be the earning money on a bike. there's multiple ways to do it. Also saving money as well, and just avoiding traffic, things like that that people might not be informed on and might be scared of if they have been out in the street, or they might see some negative news on it. Also, with the infotainment, I noticed on your website that the brand story overall is a lot of information, and a video would package that up it could package it up for anybody that was learning about the Houston Bike Plan, and also incorporating some type of contest with that while collecting the viewers' information. It's always a wise thing to do online. And offline, there's a whole different ball game, almost similar to what you mentioned with I think you mentioned reaching out to some trucking companies. I'm not exactly sure what that involved, but it's along the lines of a way to educate people offline about the bike plan. And in the songs and in the videos, it could be like a Easter egg hunt with the existing 380 page bike plan. I took a look through it, and we just have to go in and decide on what is the most important aspects to educate people on. And from there, depending on, I don't know if there's what the budget is or if there's any interest in it, it could be use an existing app-based game to teach people further. And that one would also be the infotaining and gamified type of way to reach people. Okay. And I looked online and at the existing social media, and also saw I think the Facebook count for the Houston Bike Plan was around 6,000. And in the city, you have bike enthusiasts within critical mass. They have around 50,000. And the Twitter was around 3,000 for the Houston Bike Plan. I think that could also be expanded on, and there are a couple of other apps that are pretty popular right now. I didn't see a TikTok for the Houston Bike Plan. I don't know if there is one or if there's any way to get one. I think any combination of those, if the right content is provided, could educate people quickly in a fun way. When it comes to the Lisa Torrey Act, I see a way that could be used to circumvent a lot of issues that police might have or drivers might not know about when it comes to making it safer for cyclists and pedestrians. So, content-wise, I can go back to 1913 with the original City of Houston bike plans and incorporate that into content for citizens of Houston and abroad. I know that the 2027 goal is to be a gold level bike city. I'm shooting for a diamond level bike city. I don't know what that is exactly, but I feel like the potential for it to happen exists, and it just depends on what we want to do. The ball is in our court. I know I'm new here. I'm not part of the court yet, but just saying. Next slide, please. Do you have any questions? I have a ton of questions I could ask you, but I think I'll save that for another day. Also, a ton of questions that could be used for some type of gamification for the public. Thank you for your time and have a lovely day.
Can we ask a question?
Well, at this time, we have, usually this time is reserved for committee members to speak. If you're a guest.
Let's do committee members.
Yeah, let's
first.
do, we'll have our committee members speak first. And if time permits, we'll call on guests if we have that time available. So I think I saw Alejandro, your hand is up first.
Thanks for putting this together. I agree with marketing the Houston Bike Plan a bit better. I know that, our folks, David and Brandon here are a little bit kind of working with what they have, but we can, any aspect of boosting the bike plan to create engagement is kind of one of my priorities to kind of get people to come out and engage. And videos, trendy videos, and like something updated, because I did see that video on YouTube and it was posted 7 years ago when it was incepted. The bike plan came about. So updating of the progress that we did a video would be really nice. Um, what's going on, how far we've come after 7 years. When we um the progress that we're going through to get to go level. There's a lot of things we've done that we can, kind of promote and update on. And I agree with the 3 foot. I mean, the HPD has a video for the 3 foot law. They did a pretty good job. I like the video. Um, so resharing that and looking that up, and then maybe throwing it in there into the website. The 3 foot law. Do you know what that is? And use the HPD video that they already did, because reinventing the wheel. Given the resources, it's pretty rough, right? But connecting that material that's already out there and sharing it to get people to more familiar with what's going on. But I appreciate the presentation here and the work you put in to present this. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, and I agree with you. That's a lot of content out there that people either don't know about or could be updated.
Trevor wrote in the chat,
It says, it says Jessica Wiggins and I have been talking about singing a duet together. So perhaps we can work on a song. And then he also said that a comprehensive list of all businesses that offer a discount for cyclists would be helpful. For example, Juiceland offers 10% discount if you bike there, but no one knows about it.
Is that for me?
That was,
Who does the bike discount?
Remember?
It said Juiceland has a discount. Yes, that's a pretty good example of a contest or that, or maybe some type of I convert bike to electric myself, so maybe some type of a giveaway for bike conversion. And is the song thing, is that for me or just in general?
It was just a comment.
Okay. Yeah, I would, well, even if it isn't for me, I could dust off my singing and get out there, help myself.
I know. I've been working on a spreadsheet to kind of get all the businesses that provide discounts. And I think like sharing that material, as an open file, a Google sheet, like that everybody can see and bite to, like for a milkshake or discount on food or even drinks, from some participating bars. I know they're out there. And if anybody's watching this video, like a comment, let me know, because that is a ongoing or working list that I'm trying to compile so to share with people. And that's one of those Easter egg hunts or gamification. Like, how many can you tag in the month of whatever May, right? Which is bike month. So the one that tops it off, and maybe Bike Houston can do a raffle for them or something like that, because that way, it's supporting businesses and getting awareness out there. And, given that these guys are recently got a grant to kind of provide bike racks to businesses, that's something that's just recently happened too, is that, they got money to give bike racks away to businesses that are willing to install them.
Okay. I'm gonna go to Scotty Bikes Rentals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Scotty's Bikes. Hi, how you doing? Scotty of Scotty's Bikes. I offer pickup and delivery of portable electric bikes. And I love the idea with the gamification. However, I believe that the raffle, that's kind of antiquated. What I would suggest is if you guys could write down this word, visual positioning system, right? What VPS allows you to do is utilize augmented reality when it comes to the gamification of Houston. I love this idea. I'm a graphic designer. I'm also a video game developer. So when I hear ideas like this, I can see a situation where a person puts, clicks onto the app for the Houston Bike Plan, and then here it is. They have a VPS, and maybe it's some type of iconography or some type of I don't know exactly what that looks like now until there's conversation. But we can create plots and routes to where maybe there's a tour of all the murals that have been created in Houston recently, or maybe it's a tour that connects a person from getting from Buffalo Bayou to Brays Bayou, or even the proposed bike plan in itself laid out on a positioning system. So if you could, guys, just please look it up, VPS. The technology is through Eighth Wall, and I think that it's something that not only would it answer to the grant, but it's something that would answer to new technology that will help get people outside. So it's just something to consider. Thank you.
Thanks. And Scotty, can you tell us which grant?
Pardon me, say that one more time.
Which grant are you referring to? We'd love to get a hold of some grant money.
Oh, grant. Oh, I thought you guys said grant money. I don't know. I'm just saying. But as far as like, don't give me the line. Matter of fact, let me put my face on so you guys can see me. Don't give me the line with that. I thought that I heard that. But what I'm saying is when it comes to initiatives with technology, if we utilize the technology for the grant money, I mean, if we look for grant money that utilizes technology, we can leverage the technology to help us with the bike plan. That's what I'm saying. And as far as like to your point with the gamification of Houston, by having an actual game, maybe it's like a type situation, but when a person gets to a particular place, they can click on a button and it actually explains that to them. So now we're talking about history being explained. To your point with the different businesses, right? Now we have something. I was thinking for something like that, social rides. So why don't you, as as the Houston Bike Plan, go to these larger social rides outside of critical mass? You know what I mean? You have Clutch City, you have rides out of Discovery Green, these type of places where they leave out of, and leave this information so they can also join in on and include themselves into when it comes to the plan on Instagram, Facebook, and all those other things. So, I mean, he touched on a lot of things. If there's anything within my how I can help you, I'm all for it, because that's exactly what Houston needs. Houston biking needs to look cool, man. You know what I mean? And I think by including the device somehow too, I think that would be more inclusive, and adding more people who don't really ride bikes. I don't like saying cyclists because I feel like that's strapping in and wearing a helmet and all that type of stuff, but ride bikes to join the larger community. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Anything else from the committee members? Yes.
I'll just say the whole thing that NMT is talking about, as far as I can see it from a off-road perspective, it's the struggle of trying to convince Houstonians that we actually could be a biking city. And I think that what MT is talking about, the gamification and trying to actually engage the city and let them believe that we can do this. Because I still struggle with my bike meeting. We've got one group that's got 13,000 plus members, and I've only got 500 members in Portland. It's like, and we provide $25,000 in accident coverage when you ride your bike. Like, why aren't more people joining in? They don't see the vision. And I think that vision state, we have to figure out a way to create that. I think that you've got to find a way to convince people that it's doable, that it's possible. And I don't think Houston believes that yet. I don't think the city believes that. I don't think anyone believes that. And so
It's a struggle that I've had from the off-road community because I've got people fighting over 8 miles of linear trail, trying to defend that one piece, not recognizing we have 2,000 miles of undeveloped bayfront property that we can access and have an actual experience here in Houston in the off-road community. And people are like, no, it'll never happen. This is Houston. We don't do that. And I think that's the same that you have on page basis is people just don't think it's possible. Yeah, you're going to replace car lanes with bike lanes. Nobody believes that. So I do think that he's right that we've got to figure out a way to do a better job of convincing the city of Houston that we can move in other methods, whether it's bikes or PEVs, whatever that future looks like. But there are other ways other than getting in a car. And how do we sell that vision? Because right now, Houston does not believe that at all. Sorry, that's my 2 cents.
No, we thank you for your 2 cents.
That's a really good comment. I agree with that too. You know, the progress that we've been making, like I feel like it's very small compared to what we can like really put out there. If people like really think that this can happen. I mean, we get support from our elected officials and
Can I say
funding becomes a really big issue with like how far we can push the envelope. And when we're getting like small pieces compared to other budgets, you know, we're like, you know, David is doing his best to kind of like, you know, make the most effective bang for buck, I guess you could say. And it's hard. We just got to convince our elected officials that that we're like, if we really want to get people on their bikes and riding around, that we need to kind of, you know, have them support it vocally instead of balancing and doing a balancing act, like and considering that, you know, the other constituents thinking like, you know, oh, they're for bike lanes, you know, or they're for the bike people or whatever. You know, it's like us versus them mentality needs to be kind of eliminated, and just, you know, it's a people mentality, not a us versus them. But the thing that you mentioned, David, about the grants is I think what I mentioned is that I think Bike Houston recently got a grant to implement bike racks, and we're looking at kind of design standards for bike racks. I don't know if that's been talked about, if you talked with Joe at all recently. But we're trying to get some bike racks installed in some businesses or places that would really like to have them, and reach out to Bike Houston for that, because they're the ones that would receive the money. If there's any way that, you know, the city of Houston can get that same access to that, you know, that kind of grant, then we double up our efforts for creating bike racks around the city.
All right. Thank you.
Can I throw one back at Alejandro? I just want to say, Alejandro, one comment I just want to make, just in that thought process, I saw a really great comment from Ross there about spanning critical mass to Houston outside the loop. And I thought about the idea of like, I think we put a lot of faith sometimes in our elected officials to make things move, but at the end of the day, they are beholden to their constituents. So how do we engage the constituents and get them out on bikes? One thing we're doing at Gorba is we've created an Our Kids series where we get kids and families out on bikes in the off-road community and then let them advocate. We've reached out to community advocacy in Precinct 1, Precinct 2 to find ways to get more kids on bikes and get the community on bikes, because if you can convince the community that it's a worthwhile endeavor, then I think they will convince the elected officials of that. That's just my opinion on that one, because I think we expect too much of elected officials sometimes. And the reality is we need to convince those communities why they want these things and why these things are good for their community. I'll shut up.
Great point, Sean. Great point.
Hey, I can assist with the identification of some grants if that's something that's needed.
We can take that offline.
Okay.
Joe, you have something? I saw you pop your camera on.
No, all good here. Good to see everyone.
Gotcha. Good to see you, Joe. Great, engaging conversation, everyone. MC, thank you so much for that information. We'll be staying in contact with you as we continue to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Yes, sir.
Now we're going to talk about, I want to have a discussion on the Lisa Toriak brochure.
Okay, so Jessica Wiggins in April requested that we provide more information for the public about the new signs that were coming up in Houston. And so we created a pamphlet that could be given out to anyone at any events or at any community meeting. It is it's a bifold open pamphlet. The first, so go back to the first
I'll
one.
go back one. Okay.
So as you can see here is the front will be the sign that is going up in Houston. And as you open it up, next slide, you'll see half of the pamphlet will have the information of the Lisa Toria Act, the timeline of what happened and why, you know, what happened afterwards, the legislative information and when it became an act. And then on the other side of the brochure are the frequently asked questions about the actual act and as it pertains to, you know, maybe do you get a ticket, do you get fined, what's the consequences? And so we're hopeful that this will give a lot of community members insight about the new signs. And that's all I have. The hope is, once this is final, to also translate this in Spanish.
And what we'll do, so we table a lot of events, bring bike plan material, we bring Vision Zero material. This will be part of our usual material that we bring out. If you are, it'll be posted on the webpage so anybody can download them. But if any member of the committee would like, you're representing the Houston BAC, we can hook you up with a bunch of copies to bring out also. And we appreciate, this committee was the one who asked for this, the staff went back and developed it with a lot of help from Jessica. She should get a good shout out there. And we're happy to bring this back to you. I think the idea was it's going to be in the package,
Right.
And let the committee provide any comments within the next few weeks, and then we can incorporate it and mark it final.
Leah asked, thank you all for creating the Lisa Toria Act pamphlets. May we get it translated to Vietnamese as well? Our engagement efforts are to try to do 3 translations. Yes, we can do that as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Great conversation. So yes, this will be a part of the post email, and we'll give it 3 weeks. Another 3 weeks for comments, and then we'll mark it final when we'll have everything uploaded. Good to go. Thank you, Mr. for great work on that, and Leah and Jessica. Just a reminder where we are in the agenda. We went through a lot, and so here we're at our last 2 items. We're going to have open forum. Open forum is for committee members only. To talk about bike-related issues that was not a part of the agenda. So at this time, committee members, it's your floor.
With an ask that we stay on education topics.
Yes.
Leah, I think you're muted. Oh, there we go.
Thank you. Sorry, I was also talking to my daughter. I was just going to say, I found the email from Commander Anthony Miller about the topic that she had wanted to bring up. I don't have any comments on this. I just wanted to throw it to the committee for something to be thinking about. She was wondering the best way to educate sort of cycling groups. And especially we have the Bike to Work Day one, but especially those who hold organized rides on sort of best practices, rules of the road, safety issues, et cetera, how to deal with appropriately rude drivers. So I just wanted to throw that out to the committee as something to be thinking about. Not sure if anyone has any ideas on that.
I can bring up a comment. I think as members of the BAC, try engaging some of these ride leaders and maybe see if we can host like a group meetup with the leaders on a certain day or on virtual to kind of like express interest and maybe like how maybe keep an ongoing meeting with them, what issues are they running into at their rides? Like, do they notice like some part of town that could use a bike lane like through their routes? That's kind of like an opportunity for engagement and feedback at the same time. I always thought about this. I just, I get overwhelmed and I'm like, oh man, where do I start? So, that's an idea that I've always thought of like, even before this incident with the Mercedes, is like, I know that Critical Mass had something sort of like that, a couple years ago, and even had a working relationship with the police department at one point. So, trying to reinitiate this with like the newer groups that are coming around to let them know that the city does care about this stuff, and like I mentioned earlier, like kind of like a follow through that the city really cares about this, and that we're like this is working towards like building a relationship with people that ride bike. So that's my thought.
Thank you. Joe?
Hey, so speaking of this pamphlet regarding the Lisa Torrey Smith Act, a pamphlet is a tough thing to carry around, but if you had something really small, so I carry this in my wallet at all times. It's from Bike Law, and it's just a little card that has all the relevant Texas bike laws on them. About safe passing, lane position, dooring, vulnerable road user law, distracted driver, all that kind of stuff. It's really useful to have. I haven't had to like pull it out and tell somebody, they're wrong about the law yet, but I've got it in case I do. If not a separate, card or something for this law, perhaps it could be something, a line included on the next edition of these. Bike Houston and Bike Law are close allies, so we could assist in that if necessary.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. All right. We'll close open forum now. So moving on to announcements. Our next meeting will be the Bicycle Advisory Committee meeting July 26th, held at the Annex Chambers at 2:30. Then we'll have follow-up with our Infrastructure Subcommittee meeting in August 23rd, 2:30, right here in John B. Rare, 6th floor at 611 Walker. And then this committee will meet back again with the Education Subcommittee in September 27th, 2:30, 6th floor, John B. Rare room at 611 Walker. Also, thanks for Dave reminding me, we are encouraging all BAC committee members to be in person at the July meeting. Reason being, we will have, we're taking a picture so we can update our website. And also there will be an ethics training given to being held by our legal staff. I guess that's the way to say it. So I look forward to seeing everyone's beautiful faces on July 26th. Bring a friend. So now, thank you so much. The time is now 3:30, and we appreciate everyone, and have a safe week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a safe week, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.